Hi, Patrice here. Today I want to talk about stretching. A lot of people don't know much about it. They know they're supposed to stretch, but they don't know when or how. Today I want to tell you why we stretch and when to stretch. First, when do we stretch? In the 80s and 90s, the country and the baby boomers were all about running. And they were like, yeah, you have to stretch before you exercise because that's going to keep you from getting injured. Now the research shows that instead of static stretching before exercise, we should do dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching before exercise prepares our muscles for the actual movements that they're going to do instead of stretching them out like a long rubber band. If you think about a rubber band, a long stretched out rubber band is going to be less effective than a taut one. So taking that analogy to the hamstrings, if our hamstrings are tight, they're going to react faster during a run, for example, than if they're stretched out. So if you're going to run, you should do a dynamic stretch that mimics running. If you're going to golf, you should do a dynamic stretch that mimics golfing. If you're going to swim, you should do a dynamic stretch that mimics swimming. Those are obviously all of the sports that I know. I'm not a big sports person. I'm okay with that. So after you exercise, you don't need to do any more dynamic stretches. That's when you do static stretching. During exercise, you get a lot of micro tears in your muscles. And when you do stretching, that encourages blood circulation, which brings nutrients and especially protein to those micro tears, which is going to build your muscles. The bigger your muscles, the higher your metabolism, the more you can eat, which is really the only reason any of us exercise, as far as I'm concerned, is so we can eat more, right? So here are some static stretches that I have found really helpful with myself and my clients after a workout. First, we have downward facing dog. Downward dog is a really helpful stretch for your hamstrings and lats, so you want to make sure you push your chest down. You can walk your dog like this, and then I'll get a little bit of movement in there. And then next we're going to go into pigeon. And pigeon is my favorite stretch for the IT band especially, which is super helpful for runners. The IT band is the iliotibial band. It's a ligament that goes down the side of your thigh. If you can't go down this far, that's totally okay. By the way, that's my cat, and she's going to probably creep in on a lot of videos. So we're going back up, stretching it out, and then we're going to go into this hip flexor stretch. A lot of people have really tight hip flexors, so you're going to get into a position like you're about to propose to somebody and then shift forward. And then you lift up that arm. And then you're going to stretch out the hamstring, another great hamstring stretch here. Again, if you can't go down so low, that's totally understandable. I do this every day, which is why I can touch my head to my knee, which is debatably a freakish thing or just a cool thing. You decide. It's fine. And the last thing is cat-cow. A lot of people have pretty tight back flexors. So, flexors and extensors actually. So this is just a movement to get your back a little bit more flexible, which is probably going to help you a lot with back pain. About 70% of Americans report back pain at some point in their lives. And finally we're going to go into child's pose, which is another great lat stretch. Make sure you stretch out your arms and your fingers during child's pose. It's a resting pose, but it's also really good for the lats. So, first, dynamic stretching. Mimic the movement that you're going to do during your exercise. Then exercise, and then static stretching. 5 to 10 minutes. I do static stretching every session with my clients for the last 5 to 10 minutes. That's going to help prevent you from getting sore, and it's also going to build your muscles. And the bigger your muscles, The higher your metabolism, the more you can eat.